Hi guys, it's me Shane here. I thought of giving you guys a walkthrough of how to make your own PRX. Now this is entirely new to me as well. This is my first time making a PRX. Let's first go through the components required to make this watch. First we'll need, of course, the case. I'm making the white dial, the rose gold white dial version, and the case backed with the waterproof washer, this gasket right here, the dial and the hands which is inside here, and of course the movement. This case is compatible with two types of movements, ETA 2824 and ETA CO7 dot 111. Now C07 is also a modified version of ETA 2824. So what I've got here today is ETA C07 dot 111 movement. This is an original Swiss movement. You can get a made in China movement as well. However, it won't be of this refined craftsmanship, nor will it have a power reserve of 80 hours. It'll usually be 38 hours, which is the default for ETA 2824. And then, of course, we'll need the bracelet right here. And when you're looking for the bracelet, make sure you find one with quick release over here. And usually those third-party bracelets don't have arrows over here, as you can see, these arrows. It's more closer to the original one, and this 1853 mark here is usually the same size as this Tissot font in most other third-party ones. Now this one is a high-quality copy, so this is pretty well done, I'd say. And same goes for this movement case. It is sapphire crystal glass and 316L steel. It's pretty high quality. Even I can see the crown here is signed, so it's pretty high quality stuff over here. And with the movement, of course, you'll need this dial spacer ring, which will come with the movement, and some of these clamps right here. And next, let's move on to the tools that we need. First, we'll need a stage like this. This will be very beneficial, but if you don't have this, you can make do with any smooth surface. Maybe a nice little cloth like this would do the same trick, but I would suggest getting something like this. This is pretty useful, and if you can get your hands on a movement holder for it, that's pretty good as well. An ETA 2824 holder like this one. This is pretty useful to remove the case and put it back on, and to tighten it, this is good, but I'd say this little tool here, right here, is better. And of course you'll need a blower to blow away the dust, a lubricant for the gaskets. Okay, you put the gasket here and you apply some lubricant. This chamber is for dust proofing. You can once you're done with the movement, suppose say you fix the dial, you can put it inside and store it inside here. Some Loctite tweezers. I'm using these plastic tipped tweezers. You can find ceramic tweezers as well. Ceramic ones are pretty good, but they tend to be a little bit on the expensive side. I suggest using plastic ones when you're dealing with the dial phase and the movement. It's good to have a metal tweezer as well, especially when you're pulling out the stem from the movement. So tweezers are very important. And of course we'll need some of these kind of tools. These are called hand presses. These fix the hands onto the movement, so these are definitely important. You can find vertical presses for this as well, but I went with these manual pressing ones. And I have a vernier caliper with me right here to measure the stem, and this little tool here to cut off the stem if need be. And we have a file over here to file down the stem, and most importantly you will need some magnifying tools. I have this little magnifier over here. Is it visible? Yeah. And beyond that, if you need more magnification, suppose say 10x or 20x, I suggest getting something like this right here. It comes with a little LED light as well, very useful. This is definitely a must when building something like this. And this mat here is extra, but can be very useful. And you can organize things very neatly here on this mat. This is an extra. You are going to need a tool like this. This is a prying tool, just in case you mess up when you're fitting the hands. If you mess it up and you want to remove the hands, this is the tool to do it. Most of these tools you can find very cheap online. These are not expensive, so you don't have to go about finding workarounds. These are very cheap tools. And when you're starting, you can go for very cheap tweezers and cheap screws here. And you don't need expensive tools when you're starting out. It's important to have some Rodico prepared as well, Rodico putty, and finger cuts. Always make sure your fingers are clean and you wear finger cuts. That's it. Now let's start the build. You can see the dial over here. Looks pretty good to me. First things first, have the dial spacer ring prepared over here, and you can remove this hour wheel. Let me hold it with the plastic tweezers. You can remove this and keep this safe on the side. When you switch it to the other side, this one tends to fall off, so make sure you keep it on the side. And when you flip the movement over, I'm not sure if you can see it. All right, there is a little tab that you can pull out over here, closer to the stem, and another one that you can pull out right over here. This little tab. You can use the metal tweezers right now to pull them out. Be very careful, do not add a lot of force. It was coming off very slowly. I'm adding only a slight little nudge, not a lot of force. Okay, there we go, that's it. You don't have to move it more than that. This is more than enough. And you do the same thing with the other side. Now, those of you who are not new to watchmaking already knows how important this part is. This is the balance wheel, otherwise known as the heart of the movement. Make sure nothing gets in there, especially nuts or other residue that you, especially metal filings or anything of that sort. Make sure this part is safe as possible. As soon as we are done with the movement, make sure you put it on this this little cabin to keep it dust free. Let's try to pull this tab right now. It's not easy. There we go. Now that both of these tabs are pulled out, you can keep the movement on this side and take your plastic tweezers out and place this little ring. This is the spacer. This is what creates a space between the dial and the movement, the date ring. And when you're placing it, you see these small spaces here. You place them where the holes for the dial feet are. It's usually here. Alright, now I have placed the date wheel spacer, and once you placed it, make sure it's sitting evenly all around. And these little holes there, you can see over here, these holes here, you can see them all the way through. And that's where the dial feet, these ones, will go into. This is the dial, and the dial feet are right behind over here. These will sit there. Now before you put that on, don't forget to put that hour wheel back on, along with the washer that comes on top of it. Let me try and make it safe. Yeah, there you go. There's a little washer here. Let's zoom in. Let me closer to the camera. Alright. This little washer, make sure it's there on the movement. This ensures there's a space between these cogwheels and the dial. Next, let's try to put the dial on. Now when you're placing the dial, be very gentle, okay? The dial feet should go right there. And if it doesn't, do not apply a lot of force. Just get a feel for it and then press it very gently. Because if the dial feet gets crooked, you're gonna have a little bit of trouble. Now you can see the dial feet is poking out right over here, and we will use this to clamp it. Now I've done one side, just to finish the other side. Now that should mean that the dial is firmly fitted onto the movement. There is no screws involved with this movement, but some cheaper 28-24 movements can have screws on the side. This one, however, does not. And next is the most important and the hardest part of the build, putting on the hands. We'll have to find where it's going to be exactly midnight. Now, how do you find it? You rotate the crown pulled all the way out to the second position. You rotate until the date changes. So you rotate, 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 rotate. Okay, now you can see the date is changing. Now be very careful. Rotate in very small increments. Very small increments. Okay, there. That is midnight. Keep it down like so. And first we'll fit the other hand. Here we go. Let's place it to the side and then fix it at the 12 o'clock position. I'll show you once it's fixed. It's kind of hard to videograph and do this simultaneously. Let's take this tool over here, and we are going to apply a very small amount of force here, very small amount of force, and make sure it sits firmly and it does not touch the dial. I will show you once it's done. Now you can see I have fit the movement right here. It sits pretty flush there. It's really hard to see. There's only a very small spacing, and you can see it through your magnifying glass. Next, do a check to rotate it and see if it hits somewhere. Does it hit any other dial markers or these parts here? Do a quick round and check if it turns well, and make sure the date rotates sharp at midnight. Now this one is evening round, and now we have midnight. Let's check. Goes oh. Okay, there it goes. It rotates, and midnight. That's perfect. Sharply at midnight, the date rotates. Now that's perfect. We are going to do the same thing with the minute hand and the second hand. I'm not going to show the whole procedure. It's the same thing. The second hand will take a long time because it requires a lot of patience. As you can see, it's very small, and the slightest amount of force, if you add too much force, it is definitely going to bend. Or even worse, the little prong here, this little needle might bend. If this one bends, you might as well get a new movement. That's not good. So you have to be very patient with the second hand. Oopsie daisy. I tend to keep dropping it on my mat here. So I only apply a very small amount when picking it up. It is very brittle. It can bend and break very easily. Be very patient with this. Take as long as you need. And if you can, order a second pair of two pairs of hands, one for you to try it with, and if it bends, you can use the second pair. Okay, now I have fixed all the hands finally after taking a long time. Had a bit of a hiccup. Either way, now when you are fixing the hands, make sure you check the alignment at 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock, sorry, 9 o'clock, 3 o'clock, and 6 o'clock. So turn the minute hand like so to 12 o'clock, check if it is aligned properly, and then go for 3 o'clock, then check again, and then 6 o'clock, check again, and then 9 o'clock, check again. Do the same thing for all the hands, and make sure the second hand is running properly. And let's see if the date changes at midnight. Okay, 9 o'clock, here we go. Yes, about a minute shy of 12 o'clock. That is as good as it gets. That's pretty good, I'd say. That's better than most of the Seikos and Orients I have right now. So that's really good. And let's see how we are going to fix this into the case. Let me first clean things up a bit. Let me make sure there is no dust on the dial face. Let's give it a little blow here. All right. And I did take off the rotor because it was getting in the way a bit. So there we go. Give it a little blow. And I'm going to take the stem off. Okay, once you make sure the glass is all clean, give it a few blows as well, just to make sure all dust particles are out. I don't think you can make it perfectly dust free, but as long as you can get the best clean, all's good. Slowly place the face like that. Bada bim, bada boom. There we go. And turn it over like this. And there is more. Okay, now we are going to place this little ring here into the case. Faced a bit of a problem earlier. The crown stem that came with the machine was a little bit too short because this machine was already in use with another TISSOT watch. It was removed from another TISSOT watch. So I had to order another crown stem, which I'm going to place now. And I took this placer ring off for the time being. Enough, let's see how we're going to do it. Just put it back in there. And I'll show you how to take it off as well. There. It should click into place. Once it's placed, place the spacer ring here. This small slit here, this slit here. This slit here aligns with the crown stem. So let's keep it real slow and turn it around a bit. There we go. Now the placement is pretty good. Now the machine is in place. Now we can pull out the crown and cut the excess. So to cut the excess, we should get the measurement first. I'm going to use this vernier caliper I have, this thing here. So push the crown in all the way and then get the measurement. It's always good to cut a little bit less than to cut more. Usually it should be all the way up to here. So now you'll see how to remove the crown. So this little hole here, I hope you can see it. This little hole here, press down gently, very small amount of force, and then pull out. It's like hard to do. There we go. It's this space here, not here, here. So once you press down here, the crown should come off nice and easy. Now I'm gonna take off 2.4 millimeters and we'll check back again. When you are cutting it, you can use these kind of pliers, but it's best to use this cutting pliers here. This is specifically made for the job. And when you're cutting it, make sure you cut it off the table so that there won't be any little metal parts here and there. And I've made a small mark here with my marker. Not sure if you can see. I'm gonna cut it off and file it a little bit and then check again. And then we'll see if it fits. Okay, now that I've gotten a perfect cut of the crown stem, I'm going to apply some Loctite a little bit there. So that should be more than enough. And screw in the crown here. Yes, as tight as possible. It's best to have a crown stem holder, but since I don't have it, I'm just going to use my hands. And let it sit for a while. Make sure it's all clean over there. Now you can insert the crown. And when you insert the crown, be careful. Slowly. Let's see. There we go. Now once the crown is inserted, you can see the balance wheel is rocking side to side, and check if the winding mechanism is working. Yes, the crown is successfully installed. Okay, once the crown is fixed, now you can fix the machine to the spacer and the spacer to the case. To fix the machine to the spacer, you can use these screws here, and we are going to fix it over right over, it's hard to see, right over here and here. And then to fix the spacer, we are going to use these screws and these little brackets here. Make sure the crown is pulled out so that the balance wheel will stop moving. In case one of the metal parts get in there, you can safely pull it out since the balance wheel is not rocking. Alright, now let's try to fix these screws, and once it's done, I will show you how it looks like. Okay, now you can see I have fixed the spacer to the case over here with this bracket here and another one here, and I fixed the machine to the spacer with these two screws, bracketing screws over here and here. And give it a turn, make sure nothing falls out like that, and then turn back. We are going to fix this case back. Now this case back is not a screw down case back, it's a snapback case. So you're gonna have to have a watch press or use some other tools to press it down. You can use either a hardcover book or a handle of a hammer or something that is flat and is able to apply equal pressure all across. So let's see how we do that next. I'm gonna apply some lubricant all over here. Sorry. I'm gonna use some of this. And apply it all around and try to snap it back. Before that, make sure you give it a couple of blows, clean the glass back, and then you can snap it back. Alright, now I fixed the snapback case on, and it's almost done. All you gotta do is fix the bracelet here, and it is equipped with quick release, so you can squeeze it and then just snap it on. Now I'm gonna put the bracelet on and adjust the links, and then we'll see how the watch looks at last.